Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar of biokinetics and time integrated activity and also with some example. My name is Denny Hardiansyah. There are nothing to be disclosed and this is the outline of this webinar. So we will start with the general overview about the time activity curve fitting and we will go through some example. And this example is divided into several process. For example, the data input, the function input, processing, and data output. Okay, so let's start with the first one, general overview of tag fitting. So the content of this webinar is actually obtained from this publication, Time Activity Data Fitting in Molecular Radiotherapy, Methodology and Pitfalls by Ivasenko et al. So for those who would like to learn more about this topic, please, you can download it for free and you can also read it for free because the paper is open access. So in general, currently, there is no consensus on processing the time activity data in personalized radiopharmaceutical therapy dosimetry. So this work provides a general framework for time activity curve tag modeling of quality assurance and uncertainty management consideration of time integrated activity estimation. So in general, we have four phases of tag modeling. The first one with the red color is the collection of the data required for the fit, or we can say related to the data input. The second one with yellow color is the definition of model or function used to model the change of organ activity with time, or we can call this as function input. The third one with the gray color is the actual processing of the data and the definition of underlying uncertainties, or the data processing. And last but not least, number four, the last phase with the green color is the selection of the data required for presenting the result of the fit or data output. So let's discuss it one by one with an example. So this is the general overview, and then we will start with the first one, which is the data input. And you can see it with the red color here, where you can also see that this data input is basically can be divided into several components. So the first one is the prior knowledge on time activity curve. So it would be beneficial if we have all of this prior knowledge, although you don't have to have it all, but some of them is beneficial if we have it. So the first one is half-life. So of course it would be easy for us to get the half-life. So of course it would be nice as well if we can add it as one of the input for our modeling. Yeah, the half-life of the radionuclide. And this can be defined as the physical decay with this equation. Physical decay or lambda decay is equal to ln 2 divided by the half-life. It would be nice as well if we already have the error of our measurement. We can also add it as one of the input in our fitting process. And also the structure of the error. If we have it, it would be nice as well. Yeah. There are several structure type of the error that can be used. For example, proportional, constant, and also combined. The next one is time activity data. Of course, this is important for the fitting. This is the one that we would like to fit. These data are collected from imaging measurement, for example, planar scintigraphy or SPECT-CT. A prior knowledge of the fit function also would be nice to have. For example, a fit function for specific radiopharmaceuticals obtained from the literature that has been shown as a good function. So we can use it, yeah, if someone out there already showed that it is a good function for our radiopharmaceutical case. So for the input data for the input algorithm would be nice as well, yeah. If we have it, additional data for the fitting algorithm can also be included as the data input. So we will have an example. For our example, we assume the following. So let's say we have 6 time activity data from the kinetic of lutetium PSMA 617 measured with the spexity at 6 post-injection time point 220, 44, 68, 116, and 164 hour are available for the tag fitting. We also have some information, for example, the physical decay of the lutetium. The time activity data was assumed with no measurement error and no prior knowledge of the fit function. The next one is the function input. And as you can see, this is the second phase of our general overview of the fit function fitting process. And as you can see, there are several fit functions, for example, like the empirical models, analytical pharmacokinetics model, classical compartment models, and also physiologically based pharmacokinetic or PBPK model. I will not discuss about this in details because it's already covered by another webinar. So please check webinar number 10 for the details of this fit function. Okay, let's continue. So basically, we can define an objective function. For example, this is the extended version of the objective function. As you can see, we have two terms, two sigma term. The first term is about the data, and the second term about the prior knowledge. So the first term about the data showing the variance model or the measurement error model that can be modeled as the proportional, constant, exponential, or combined model. We also have this scale data variance parameter showing if you already know the measurement error of your data, then you can set it to 1, this new number. If you don't have it, then you can estimate it from the data. And this part is about the sum of a square. And this one is showing the weight of the sum of square error. And this is about the prior knowledge, showing, let's say, if we want to fit, we already know the typical distribution of a certain parameter, then we can add it as one of the weight of our fitting. So we can add the information of the mean parameter and also the variance of the parameter in our model. Error model function or structure of the model error so can also be used as we already discussed before. And for the algorithm to fit, some fit algorithm are available such as Rosenberg and Runge-Kutta. So you can also use the algorithm, Rosenberg or Runge-Kutta or something else. So it depends on your aim. So for our example, we assume the following. So some of exponential model were evaluated as good candidates using varying degrees of prior knowledge included in the fit. So as you can see, let's say we assume that we have this 4 function, F2P, F3P, F4P, and F5P. So let's continue to the last part of the process, which is the processing and also the data output. And as you can see from the general overview, showing by the gray and also the green box. So first we need to understand about the parameters uncertainty. This parameter uncertainty showing the uncertainty of the fitted parameter that can be calculated using the covariance matrix. So I suggest you to read this publication by Geer et al. In 2018 because it's a very good paper showing how one can calculate the uncertainty in the symmetry of radiopharmaceutical therapy. So basically, if we want to calculate the parameter uncertainty, we can use this equation of the covariance matrix of the parameter, which is as a function of the chi-square. So chi-square can be calculated with this equation, for example, with showing the different square of the data at particular time point and function at a particular time point. The n here is the number of data, the q is the number of the fitted parameter, and the J here showing the Jacobian matrix or the derivation of our function that we use for the fitting to the parameter. Uh, in addition to the parameter uncertainty, it would be nice as well if we can get the uncertainty of the AUC. So it would be very nice if we report not only the AUC, or we can say this is related to the TIA, yeah, but also the uncertainty would be nice, yeah. The AUC and also the uncertainty can be calculated using the bootstrap or error propagation from the uncertainty of the parameter. And good software provide this function. So let's say you already fit, yeah. So we have the function and then we fit it, yeah, to the data we have. Then of course we need to check the quality or the performance of the function in explaining the data. So we can check it with the goodness of fit and also model selection, for example, with the AKK information criteria. So on the left side, you can see the tables, yeah, for the control types, the level, and also the impact of the step. Starting with the visual inspection of the fitted curve, low qualitative, yeah, plausibility of estimated parameter, the value of the coefficient of determination, R square, coefficient of variation of the fitted parameter, correlation matrix, random distribution of weighted residual, and also T uncertainty. Going down on this list, showing the level of the importance of the, control type, yeah. So then again, a quality check of the fit function in describing the biokinetic dataset is highly recommended. So as you can see, for the impact of the step, you can check it one by one as written here. The criteria, yeah, for each of the control. So this is for our example. So let's say that we have our data at the 6 different time point, and then we feed it with different function. As you can see, F2P with the black color, yeah, the function F3P red color, F4P blue color, and F5P green color. So this is the result. So as you can see, it would be very nice if after the fitting we uh, produce some result and also report it like this. So we have the equation, yeah, we also add the information of the prior information, the number of data points for the fit, and also the best fit parameters also with the uncertainty. And it would be nice also if we can add some information of the goodness of fit test. For example, the R square of each of the uh, function and also the CV, for example. So again, you can check the list, yeah, in the table that I showed you before about the control type that we can perform for our fitting process. So we can also check the residual plot, where you can see the residual plot distribution should be centered around 0 and it should be random. Yeah. If it's random and centered to around 0, yeah, then we can say that the fitting is quite nice. So it would be beneficial as well, yeah, if we can also show the deviation of the TIA that we estimated from our fitting. We can also perform several different types of tests. After we check the goodness of fit test, let's say that several function passing the goodness of fit test, then we check more, yeah, to this function that passing the goodness of fit test. For example, we can perform F test, for example, to see which function that can better describe the data, but we can also use AKK information criterion or the AKK weight. So again, I would like to remind you that the time integrated activity is not a single number. So we should attempt to include an uncertainty. So at least in the medium control level, we have the covariant matrix information like this. But it would be very nice if we can also add the calculated TIA with its uncertainty for each of the model. This would be very nice. And it has a high control level. And the next example is we would like to check what happens if we have fewer measurements. And let's say we use function with two parameter for 2 and 3 measurement and F2P and also FTP for 4 measurement. And as you can see here from these three graph and this table as well, yeah, this red box showing the TIA deviation from each of the fitting if we have only 3 data, 2 data. And we can say the time points can be removed from the fitting process down to only 2 data points with a slight change in calculated TIA. And the cost of not being able to verify the quality of the fit to 2 points properly and rely on visual observation only. Because again, based on the objective function equation and also the uncertainty calculation, we have a rule that n minus q should be higher than 0, right? So it means that the number of the data should always be higher than the number of the fitted parameter. So if we have it less, then we cannot calculate the uncertainty. And then we can also check that, yeah, different number of data can really affect the TIA calculation, which could lead to the deviation of the TIA, as we can see here. So as a conclusion, first, some standardization or consensus is necessary for TIA calculation, at least for some well-defined task-specific procedure. Certain process should be followed to aid standardization of TIA calculation. For example, we always need to define or report the use data and also the use fit function or model, because one can always check, yeah, the function that people use, whether it's a good function or not, if we report it. So it's a very beneficial for quality control checking. The second one is to give justification for a use fit function or model. For example, based on literature or a user perform model selection process. Details on uncertainty should always be included. And last but not least, yeah, it would be nice if we can perform population-based modeling because it can aid the process. And these are several selected readings that you can read to learn more about this topic. I think that's all from this webinar, and I'll see you in another opportunity. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.